Hey folks, Glenn May here with BassResource.com, and I'm here with my good buddy Justin Kerr, an FLW pro. You've been fishing professionally since 2002 all over the country.
Yep.
You also guided for a number of years, lots of experience in lots of different situations all around the country. Today we're talking a little bit about summer fishing and some of the tactics that work really well for that. So summertime, what's that? About late May or so and into June and all throughout the really hot part of the season, fishing largemouth and smallmouth. Kind of walk me through your approach as summer progresses from the beginning all the way through.
I live on the River Lakes, Colorado River Lakes, so obviously across the whole country, I kind of approach it the same. Shade is a major player in the summer. It just gets so hot, and shade is what I always target. I throw a frog or grass fishing and fishing, either wood or heavy vegetation. And that's usually my number one staple for summertime fishing is shade.
Now, would you fish a frog all day long or just in the morning hours?
Yeah, I'd fish it all day. Yeah, I fish a frog, all day long, especially on the River Lakes, Colorado River. They love being up shallow. Even in that heat, sometimes it gets so hot here, they're still way up, super shallow, overhanging trees, reeds, and we just go with the frog and a topwater bait.
Even on those 100-degree days, they'll be right up shallow.
Shallow.
That's a lot of people think about during the summer, should go out and be fishing really deep and fishing the drop-offs and the ledges, but yet there's fish right up shallow and you can get those too.
Yes, and then not all the time it's not the winning pattern. It is a good way to catch fish. They will go out deep in the summer and they'll fish their ledges and catch them that way. And swim bait's a good thing in the summertime too. A lot of forage is around during that time. So, but being on the Colorado River, living on Lake Havasu, I fish shallow. I fish shallow every single day of the year, and summer's my favorite time to fish a frog in the shade pockets under trees. Just casting around anywhere. It's that bite's incredible.
Oh yeah, beat a frog bite. I love those blow-ups.
Yeah.
Do you do any punching?
Yes, yeah. I'll do a lot of punching. We get a lot of grass here through the whole river system, and I get a 3/4 to an ounce and a half weight, and I'll punch grass and wood and toolies too. Just pick it up, and I usually have 2 or 3 baits, and it's one of my staples at that time of year. Yeah.
So when do you start punching? Like, how do you know it's like, okay, this is a good time to start punching?
Yeah, usually post-spawn, when the fish get done spawning.
So right in the beginning of summer?
Yeah, right. That's when I start all the way through fall. We're talking about summer, but it goes on. It's become a technique that you can do it a lot of times a year, and it does have its perks, and, summertime's are great because they love hiding and hunkering down in that grass and in the shade and being cool, and you punch that grass, it's the
bluegill will be right up underneath there, and they'll be feeding on that.
Yep. So it's a good technique.
Now you really like swim baits, being on the West Coast a lot. So what about the swim baits during the summertime? How do you fish those?
I'll fish a little smaller swim bait, more of a paddle tail or something Kitech or hollow belly, something like that. They usually the schooling deal. Usually in the summer they'll have some schooling, some shad around, and that's when we'll throw that Kitech. So. It just depends. If you have a lot of grass, I'll put a weedless hook. If there's not a lot of grass in your lake, you just can run an open hook, and catch them that way. But it can be a really good way to catch a lot of bass in the summer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about weather and changing the conditions. During the summertime, most of the time it's stable, which is why fishing is so good. This is what we like so much about it. But every once in a while, a big storm will blow through. Now, there's different ways of approaching it before the storm approaches, when it's there, and what you do the days following it. Walk me through your progression there.
In the summer, I don't see it really changing too much as it would be pre-spawn or spring or even into fall. Summer, it seems like it gets a little cooler, and the fish seem to bite better when the storm comes through. So, the topwater bite is usually incredible in the rain, especially here. We have a couple days during the summer where a monsoon comes through and it blows really hard and it rains, but the fishing is just incredible, and we throw buzz baits and topwater in the rain, and we love it.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for
no
helping
problem.
us out here. I really do appreciate that. You guys try these out this summer. You're going to love it. You're going to catch a lot more fish following Justin's advice. For more tips and tricks like this and for the answers to all your questions about bass fishing, visit BassResource.com.